You've heard of the Green Berets, right? These guys are the Swiss Army knives of the US Special Operations community. I mean, they're not just brawny warriors. They're also brainy tacticians. They can speak multiple languages, handle a variety of weapons from around the globe, and operate deep in enemy territory for months. Yeah, you heard that right. Months. But hold on a second. What if I told you there's an even more exclusive club within this already elite group? Picture a Green Beret, but now add a sprinkle of James Bond and a dash of Jason Bourne. That's a Green Beret in Delta Force for you. These are the guys who get called in for the missions that are so hush-hush, they make a librarian look loud. So, you might be wondering, if Green Berets are already so badass, why do we even need a Delta Force? Great question. It's like asking why you'd need a sports car when you already have a reliable sedan. They both get you from point A to point B, but one does it with a bit more flair and a lot more speed. Now, let's get into the nitty-gritty. You've got your Tier 2 Green Berets and your Tier 1 Green Berets. What's the difference, you ask? Well, it's kind of like comparing a really good home chef to Gordon Ramsay. Both can whip up a mean meal, but one's got a few more tricks up his sleeve. So, what makes these two groups unique in the high-stakes world of special operations? What do they bring to the table that's so darn special? Let's talk about the training, because that's where the rubber meets the road. Green Berets go through a grueling selection process known as the Special Forces Assessment and Selection, or SFAS for short. This is where they're put through the ringer, physically, mentally, you name it. But once they pass, they're not done. Oh no, they then move on to the qualification course, where they specialize in things like weapons, engineering, medical skills, and communications. It's like a buffet of badassery, and they've got to master it all. Delta Force, their selection is even more mysterious. We're talking about a process so secretive, it makes Area 51 look like an open book. But what we do know is that it's incredibly selective. Only the best of the best get in. And once they're in, they undergo specialized training that's tailored to their ultra-sensitive, high-stakes missions. Think hostage rescues, counterterrorism, and direct action assaults. These guys are trained to be the ultimate problem solvers in the most complex and dangerous situations imaginable. Now, onto the missions. Green Berets are often deployed for unconventional warfare. They're the ones training local forces, gathering intelligence, and conducting psychological operations. They're like the chess masters of the battlefield, always thinking 3 moves ahead. Delta Force, on the other hand, is more like the queen on that chessboard. Powerful, versatile, and able to strike quickly. They're the go-to for high-risk operations that require surgical precision. We're talking about missions that are so classified, even mentioning them could be a national security risk. So, let's just say, if Hollywood made a movie about what these guys actually do, you'd think it was pure fiction. And let's not forget about the gear. Green Berets are equipped with some of the best tools in the business, but Delta Force, they're on another level. Customized weapons, cutting-edge technology, you name it. If it exists, they've got it. If it doesn't, well, they'll invent it. Both are invaluable assets to the US military, and both operate at a level most of us can only dream of. Whether it's the strategic depth of the Green Berets or the surgical precision of Delta Force, these elite communities are the epitome of courage, skill, and dedication, and that's what sets them apart in the high-stakes world of special operations. Before we dive deeper, let's clear up some misconceptions. You might hear terms like Tier 1 and Tier 2 thrown around a lot. But let's not get it twisted. These aren't official labels that these elite forces use to describe themselves. It's more like industry jargon to help us mere mortals understand the hierarchy. So don't get caught up in the numbers. It's all about the mission, purpose, and funding that truly define these units. Now, let's talk about the Green Berets, also known as the quiet professionals. These guys are masters of foreign internal defense and unconventional warfare. Imagine them training local military forces in South America to combat drug cartels or rallying guerrilla armies in far-off lands. They're like the ultimate influencers, but instead of social media, they're winning hearts and minds on the battlefield. And they do this with a deep understanding of local culture and language. It's not just about flexing military muscle. It's about building relationships that last. Each Green Beret brings something unique to their 12-man Operational Detachment Alphas, or ODAs. From weapons experts to medics to senior officers, they've got all bases covered. And the best part, they're cross-trained to be as versatile as possible. Whether it's peacetime, conflict, or full-blown war, these guys can adapt and excel. But wait, there's more. Green Berets have 7 doctrinal missions, ranging from unconventional warfare and foreign internal defense to direct action, special reconnaissance, combating terrorism, counter-proliferation, and information operations. Phew, that's a mouthful, but it just goes to show how versatile these warriors are. Now, let's shift gears and talk about the shadowy figures of Delta Force. These operators are so secretive that even the Department of Defense keeps mum about them. Their missions: think high stakes, high risk, and high reward. Hostage rescues, counterterrorism, capturing high-value targets, you name it, they do it. And they do it so well that it's almost like they're characters from a spy thriller. But trust me, this is as real as it gets. Delta Force operators are trained in a smorgasbord of skills, from close-quarters battle, CQB, and direct action to hand-to-hand combat and advanced marksmanship. They're like the Swiss Army knives of the special ops world, but with laser focus. They've been involved in numerous high-profile operations that are so classified. Even talking about them here might get me in trouble. So let's just say, if you ever find out what they actually do, you probably won't believe it's not a Hollywood script. In summary, while Green Berets are your go-to for long-term strategic impact, Delta Force is your answer for immediate, surgical precision. Both are the epitome of skill, bravery, and dedication, operating in realms most of us can't even fathom. Whether it's the broad capabilities of the Green Berets or the specialized expertise of Delta Force, these elite forces are the real MVPs in the high-stakes world of special operations. So, you're probably wondering, how does one even become a Tier 1 Green Beret? Well, you've got to earn your stripes as a Tier 2 Green Beret first. The journey starts with a 2-year training pipeline that's as grueling as it sounds. After basic training, advanced individual training, and airborne school, candidates face the Special Forces Assessment and Selection, or SFAS. This is a 4-week gut check that filters out those who aren't cut out for the job. Survive that, and you move on to the Q course, where you get the meat and potatoes of your Green Beret training. Language proficiency, MOS-specific skills, you name it, they cover it. Now, let's say you've donned that iconic Green Beret. What's next? Well, if you've proven yourself to be a standout, you might get tapped for Delta Force selection. And let me tell you, this is where the rubber really meets the road. We're talking 18-mile land navigation courses and 40-mile ruck marches. And it's not just about physical prowess. You've got to be mentally up to the task. You'll face a board of psychologists, instructors, and even the Delta Force commander, who will scrutinize you with questions, tests, and evaluations. The attrition rate: a staggering 90%. And remember, most of these candidates are already seasoned special operators. If you make it through, you'll enter the 6-month Operator Training Course, or OTC. Here, you'll learn the nitty-gritty of being a Tier 1 operator. The training blocks cover everything from marksmanship and demolitions to tradecraft and executive protection. So, the next time someone casually mentions Delta Force, you can school them on just how elite these operators really are. But let's not forget about the structure. Unlike the 12-man ODAs in Tier 2 Green Berets, Delta Force operates in slightly different elements. They have 4 assault squadrons: Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, and Delta. Each squadron has 2 direct-action assault troops made up of shooters and a recon and surveillance troop with shooters and snipers. This structure is inspired by the British Special Air Service, and it's designed for maximum efficiency and flexibility. So, what sets Tier 1 and Tier 2 Green Berets apart? If you boil it down, it's experience. Delta Force typically pulls from seasoned Green Berets, most of whom have multiple deployments and years of experience. They're the cream of the crop, handpicked for their individual traits, leadership skills, and ability to stand out among their peers. In a nutshell, whether it's the Tier 2 Green Berets focusing on sustained operations and foreign internal defense, or the Tier 1 Green Berets involved in direct action and high-stakes missions, Both are invaluable assets. They're trained to operate deep within enemy lines, possess exceptional marksmanship skills, and can utilize a wide array of weapon systems. So, whether it's preventing a crisis, mitigating conflicts, or actively engaging in combat, these elite forces are always at the ready.